Hello everyone and welcome to another beer review. Now today we're getting back on the Belgian series. We've actually got quite a few series on the go just now. We're doing a kind of trying to find the best lager. That was a bit kind of accidental kind of series, but nonetheless quite important with the weather we're getting in the UK, which is quite nice and quite warm. We've also got a kind of a Yorkshire series because we've been up in Leeds as well, so we're going to be up in Leeds. And we're looking to kind of get some of that kind of local breweries. I think, of course, Northern Monk is going to be one of them. So, of course, expect hops. But there will be other beers as well. Now, we're back in the Belgian series, and we're doing a beer that we've already done before. But the reason why I'm doing it isn't to review the beer again, it's to compare it to the beer we actually are reviewing. And the beer we're reviewing today is Archivist. And this beer is sold through Lidl's. It's sold through probably a lot of other places, but this was bought in Lidl's. I think it's about £5.99 for a 4-pack. It's 6.6 by volume, 33ml. It's produced in Belgium, so it is, but it is actually sold by Lidl. So it says basically Lidl, Great Britain, blah 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 blah. Main Road, Tallaght, Dublin, that type of thing. So there's nothing really there apart from it says ingredients: water, gerst malt, sugar, and hops. And then you've got allergy advice contains barley, and that's really it. So there's no spiel, no nothing. So it's Archivist, which is a blonde beer from Belgium, but we'll put it up against probably the most famous blonde beer, which is Leffe, and see if it's any good. Now Leffe is roughly about £5 for 4, roughly, if I remember rightly. And again, this is a 6.6%, and it's a 330ml bottle, exactly the same. So same alcohol percentage, difference in price. Archivist is actually a little bit more expensive than Leffe. But the problem is Leffe can go back and forth depending on where you're buying it at what time. And yeah, there's usually some sort of kind of promotion going on. So let's crack them open and find out. This glass is dirty. Back in a minute. Bloody hell. Dirty. Give us that. Right, that's better. God, professionalism, isn't it? Just looking at it, and I thought, there's something black dot in that glass, and I'm thinking, I must be at the table, because there's also a black dot on the table. But when I moved it, the black dot disappeared in the glass, and I could see it at the table. So then I picked up the black dot on the table, put the glass back, and the black dot's back there again, because that's the bloody glass that's on the inside. Why am I even telling you this? You don't give a shit. Anyway, let's crack it open. Archivist first. Put it in. Oh, no, we're getting the aroma straight away. So let's pour it in. Let's see what this does. Right. It's quite dark for a blonde. So there's that. Let's get the lid. And straight away, big difference in colour. Something else is floating about in the clean glass. Dishwashers, hit and miss. So there's a difference. Leffe and Archivist. So Archivist is a bit darker, as you can see. A bit darker. But let's see what they smell like. Archivist first. I'm getting wheat, getting grain. And I am getting that kind of slightly acidic smell. You know, that what kind of slightly delicate chopped tomatoes, that kind of slight salsa smell you get with it. And almost Oh, that's gone good. My gimbal's just run out of. Oh, brilliant! The gimbal's just run out of juice, and it's now reverted back to default position of just swinging about. Right, I'll pause this and I'll reset it. Well, can I just pause it from here? And we're back in the room. That's gone well. So yes, I'm getting ever so slight. And what I'm getting is a bit strange. You know the kind of tomato sauce you get in baked beans? I'm just getting a little hint of that kind of Heinz baked bean kind of tomato sauce smell. So yeah. Now, what am I getting from the Leffe? Getting a little bit of wheat, a little bit of grain, but a lot lighter. Getting a little bit of acidity, ever so slight, kind of freshly chopped tomatoes. Getting a salsa smell. And a little bit of sweetness, that's it. The aromas are a lot more delicate with the Leffe than with the Archivist. So let's see what it tastes like. Right. Straight away, I'm noticing there is a bit of acidity there. There's a bit of acidity. I can't believe that did that with the gimbal. It probably happened because my son was mucking about with the gimbal because he likes it, because he likes just to kind of turn it this way and that way, and it still stays level, and he loves all that. Yeah, and he's probably run down the battery. But apparently, society says I've got to love him. Got to love him and show how much I care. Yep. But anyway, to get back to the beer, yeah. They get more acidity. So yeah. Let's break down the flavours. Right. You're starting off with a bit of maltiness, a bit of sweetness. Just a little hint of grain. You have the underlying sweetness moving on to the mid-tongue, but the grain and wheaty flavours kind of start to really intensify in the mid-tongue. And you're getting there, but just kind of about near the end of the mid-tongue kind of flavour range. That's when you're starting to get this little bit of acidity really coming through. There's a little bit of acidity there, you know it's there, you can feel it. But you'll start to feel it more when it gets getting towards the kind of the end of the mid-tongue. But you're also starting to get a little bit of bitterness coming through. And then what happens is, when you start getting into the aftertaste, the grain and the wheat flavour starts to kind of tail off quite quickly. And that's where you're kind of left with this bitterness. So you're getting a bitterness and you've got that little bit of acidity, which gives you that little bit of dryness. So yeah, you've got quite a sharp, dry finish going with that. And again, just as the grain flavour kind of dissipates on the aftertaste, your sweetness starts to do the same. A wee bit later, just a wee bit later, but it does basically, you're left with a bitterness and slightly acidic feel to the aftertaste, because the other two main aftertaste flavours, which of course is the kind of graininess and the kind of underlying kind of sweetness, dissipates. So you're left with that. So, and then of course once that's happened, it kind of dies down, but the bitterness just kind of lingers a bit longer, and you do notice you have had a kind of a bit of a sharp finish, because you're left with that kind of slightly salivated kind of feeling in your mouth. So you swallowed it, but you've got a little bit of liquid still there, because it's actually activated your saliva glands. So you've actually you're wetting your own mouth, and yeah, that's usually down to kind of the acidity. Right. So let's see what Leffe is. It's there. It's there. You're getting that acidic kind of bitter aftertaste. I'm not saying it's not a bad taste, but it's just, A little bit strange in some ways. But let's see what this one's like. The Leffe. Right. It's different. It has starts off in the start of the mouth. You're getting a very light sweet malt, very light. But what you're doing is getting that little bit of acidity right at the start. And you know that is because what I'm getting is a kind of a sweet kind of salsa, kind of slight flavourings at the start. So I'm getting that kind of freshly chopped tomato flavour with the sweetness just right at the start of the mouth. Then it goes on to the mid-tongue. And that's where you start to get the grains. So as it moves into the mid-tongue, the kind of salsa, fresh cut tomato kind of acidity kind of dies down a bit. It's still there, and it's still there all the way through to the aftertaste, but it dies down quite a lot. And that's when you start getting the grain coming through. You've still got the underlying sweetness right all the way through to the aftertaste, but the kind of stronger flavour in the mid-tongue is the kind of wheaty, grainy flavour you're getting with it. And then it goes on to the aftertaste, and it's just the flavours kind of slowly dissipate. So you're not getting a sharp finish, you're not getting a dry finish, you're not even getting a bitter finish. There's no real bitterness there. Really, I think I would probably the best way you're probably getting it is ever so slight kind of metallic, ever so slight kind of metallic, which again can be down to the acidity. The acidity can come across as slight metallic a wee bit as well. But it's not a fresh finish, it's not a dry finish, and it's not a sharp finish. So the acidity isn't strong enough to give you any of those kind of reactions. And yeah, it's nowhere near making your mouth water as much as the Archivist. So yeah. I would say with the Leffe, the flavours are a little bit more controlled, in some ways a bit more subtle. They're not so kind of in your face, whereas with the Archivist, yeah, you notice a difference, between the two, quite a distinct difference. And how, they have slightly similar flavour profiles, but they are delivered in a different way and at different parts of the mouth as well. The acidity and the bitterness is definitely in the aftertaste, whereas you're getting the acidity more at the front of the mouth with the Leffe. So, how would I rate them? Well, price-wise, they're kind of similar price-wise. They're kind of roughly about £5-6 for a 4-pack, depending on where you're buying them. With Lidl, of course, you can only get Archivist in Lidl, but I think some places are selling it online. I don't know how they're doing that because it is supposed to be made for Lidl's, but apparently some places are selling it online. Archivist, it's a blonde beer, it's a Belgian blonde beer. It has the same flavour profiles of a kind of traditional Belgian blonde. It has the kind of the acidity, it has the kind of wheatiness, it has the sweetness, and it has a little bit of kind of bitterness. But it seems quite more prevalent in the Archivist compared to the Leffe. And if you like that, then if you like that kind of more, your flavours kind of stronger and bolder, then the Archivist is probably a better choice. If you want something that's kind of just generally lighter and probably a little bit more sweeter, would be the Leffe. I would say the Leffe in general for drinking purposes is a bit sweeter, whereas the Archivist, it has a sweetness, but it's not as prevalent and it's not as kind of all the way through, as they say, from start to finish. So the Archivist out of 10, I would give it a 6. It's actually not a bad Belgian beer from that point of view. I would give it a 6. The Leffe, well, it's a hard one because let's have a taste again. The Leffe I'm actually going to give it, I'm going to give it a 5.5. It just, for me, for my flavour palette, there's a little bit too much sweetness there. And I just feel that. So yeah, I don't know what happened to, for some strange reason, the film decided to stop, and that was it. But anyway, to get back to where we were, the sweetness is just a little bit too prevalent, and because of that, the other flavours are just a little bit too subtle, so the sweetness has maybe too much of a bearing on the beer. It's there from the very start to the very end, and then it takes something away from the other flavours. They're not as strong because of that sweetness. That's how it feels. So that's why I'm going to give it a 5.5. Whereas there is a sweetness there with the Archivist, but there's a lot of more strong, bolder flavours. And they're probably more interesting. And the finish is more interesting. It doesn't just kind of melt away in the mouth. It does give you a bit of a sharpness. It's a bit of a wake-up call as the case is, oh, we're not finished yet. We're on to the aftertaste, but there's a little bit more to go. And it just, for me, it just makes it a little bit more interesting than the Leffe. So Leffe gets 5.5 out of 10. Archivist gets 6 out of 10. They're both actually quite nice. Belgian Blonde. And there's not really much more to say. So for me, have a go with Archivist. Try it with the Leffe, see what you think. Let us know if you disagree or agree. And we'll leave it there for this week. So, thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.